My name is Dave. I'm your host. You're listening to The Last Podcast, where the first shall be last and the last shall be first. If this is your first time listening, welcome. And if you're returning, welcome back. I really appreciate you listening, and I hope you continue to find tips, ideas, and value from listening to this podcast. Today, I want to ask you a question. Do you have any irrational beliefs that you're holding on to? What is an irrational belief? I'm glad you asked. Beliefs are those thoughts that we think to be true, those irrational thoughts that we believe in our heart of hearts that are true. So I know there are a lot of us that hold all kinds of beliefs, whether they're irrational, rational, or whether they make no sense at all. We hold beliefs, and I believe we all experience, had, or have irrational beliefs that does not serve us in any positive fashion. Now, if you don't believe me, think of this for a moment, right? Have you ever had the need or you felt the desire to be accepted by your peers, friends, and even some family members? I'm quite sure you have. We all have at one point in time, and some may not even care. And if that's you, then move on. This is for those who actually feel that they have an irrational belief, or don't even know they have an irrational belief, but they have a sense of belonging to, whether it's being in a group, family member, or trying to befriend a person because of something they feel inside. If that's you, then I'm talking about you. I'm asking you the question. Do you have any irrational beliefs that you're holding on to? Now, think of this before you even answer that question. Think of it like this. Have you ever tried to impress a family member, friend, employer, or colleague? And if you didn't succeed, you might have had an uneasy feeling like, dang, I'm a failure, or I failed at this, or you might even have that feeling of unworthiness, that uneasy feeling. Well, I get it. I get it. I've tried to impress people before, so I know. And I'm only talking from experience. Have you ever noticed that you've placed unrealistic expectations on yourself, concerned with how others might think of you? Have you become more self-critical of yourself? Some real good questions here. I think it's important to become more tuned into our feelings. And guys, we don't like to talk about our feelings much. And women, yeah, they do well with that. But guys, and some women, I know some women that don't want to open up at all. They're like clams. But there are a lot of people that don't feel like talking about their feelings. Or if they do talk about their feelings, they're talking about their feelings on a surface level, not on a deeper understanding level. So I'm asking you, have you ever had those feelings? Do you ever feel like what I'm feeling now, those irrational behaviors or thoughts or beliefs, do they suit me? Do they serve me? It is important for us to tune in to what is going on inside. And I know some people might be saying, but why should I even talk about my feelings? You probably don't want to put yourself in a position to fall down a slippery slope of depression because you may feel that you are not a good enough person, or you might not be that type of person where you can pretty much figure out if your situation is real or your situation is a reality in your own mind, where you're thinking that this irrational behavior is actually real. It's my reality. So irrational beliefs can cause us to hold all kinds of issues in our lives, all kind of problems. And it builds anxiety or fear of being judged, causing you to shrink in stature or even act out of character sometimes. So you may even exhibit, let's just say, like for me, I'm just going to tell you and give you an example in my own life. All right. So that way you have a better grip or understanding of what I'm referring to. So some people might even be shy, like myself, or they might be afraid to take up any type of risk in their life out of fear of being embarrassed from one form or another. For me, it was always being shy. I tried to take a look at my younger self. And I tried, because I know I was very shy when I was younger. And you can hear some of the stories of how I tackled fear, because I talked about it in the previous podcast, how I tackled fear and how I was so afraid and how I was so shy. And I had to really take a look. Why was I so shy? What fears did I have? And you know what? I also talked about in the previous podcast, questions are powerful. They're important. So every podcast, I have a question. So the question was, do you have any irrational fears or beliefs in your life that you hang on to? I had all kinds of fears. I had all kinds of thoughts that I had that was so irrational. You know, looking back in hindsight, it makes no sense. I even believed half of that stuff. But guess what? I noticed that some of those fears moved all the way in transition right into my adulthood. I want you to take a moment and think about that. I need a sip of water. What irrational fears or beliefs do you have? So back to my story, right? So I started asking myself, am I fearful of what? Number one, here are some of the things that I was fearful as. I don't know. As soon as I started talking, I don't know. But I listed fear at being laughed at. That was a big fear of mine. That was the number one reason probably or one of the reasons, high priority, why I was shy and I didn't excel in certain areas of my life, because I feared people would laugh at me. I feared people would think of me as some kind of idiot. And yes, I had those irrational beliefs. It depending on what the situation I was actually in, I even felt irrational beliefs that I wasn't smart enough. Now, I know people, and even in my own adulthood, I felt this. I felt I wasn't skillful enough. I felt people would make fun of me or what I was wearing or how I looked. In fact, I even talked about that was the one thing I didn't want to talk about or didn't want to start my own podcast on video, is because I feared how people would view me, how people would see me, how people would laugh at what I wore, how I looked, my background, my room. But I went past that fear and did it anyway. I had even fear of becoming a mark for people to pick on in some way, form, or fashion. I felt I wasn't worthy at one point in my life. I felt I don't have what it takes to succeed. I also felt it was too late. I'm too old. I had to banish those thoughts. And if you ever had parents in your life, or someone like a significant other, or someone you trust, love, and know, ever tell you or been critical to you, telling you that you can't do, you shouldn't, or you don't know, or you're not smart enough, and you've constantly heard this from a lot of family members, especially parents or a spouse, hey, it weighs heavy on you. It weighs so heavy on you that you alter how you think, what you believe, and you sometimes don't even know that it's changing you. That listening to those critical remarks about yourself is changing you, especially if you hear it every day. Sometimes it's not what other people say. It's when they stop talking and what we say to ourselves. And what's so damaging and what's so critical is when we start to say the same thing that other people tell us, we start saying it to ourselves. That's when it really becomes dangerous. So, I really wanted to bring that to light to you today. I want you to think about those things. I want you to figure out if you have any irrational beliefs. If you do, it's time to get rid of them. You may even have something you really wanted to do, and for whatever reason, somebody might have said, that's ridiculous. You can't do this. Why do you want to do that? Where are you getting this from? All of those things. You have to try to see who you are deep inside. Why do you believe these irrational beliefs? And you know what? I have to say this. Some people project their own shortcomings on you because they know they can't try anything new. They believe that they can't do anything new. They know they're not smart enough to do anything new. They believe this. So as they believe those things on themselves, they project them on you when they see you trying to improve your own life. They tell you you can't do it. You're not smart enough. You're going to always be in this position. You're going to always be this type of person. That's not true. We all can change. So think back for a moment. I want you to really think, if you've ever been in a school setting, right? And you were in class or some type of training class, and the teacher asked a question, and he wants someone to raise their hand and answer the question. And you know what? You knew the answer to the question all along, and it seemed like nobody else in the class knew the answer, and you was too afraid to raise your hands to answer that question because you didn't want to draw attention to yourself, or you didn't want to draw any type of criticism to yourself, but you had the correct answer all along. So, have you ever been there? I know I have. There's a lot of times I was in class and the teacher asked the question and I knew the answer, but I didn't want people looking at me because I didn't want to be stigmatized in any type of way, form, or fashion. It didn't matter. But you know what I realized? I realized in everything that I went through, all those irrational beliefs that I had. And believe it or not, I still had irrational beliefs last year. I still have some now. I have to take a look at those irrational beliefs, because the funny thing is, sometimes irrational belief may pop up out of the blue, out of nowhere, especially when you're trying to do something new, when you're trying to take a new class, when you're trying to change your career. Irrational beliefs pop up right in that moment. What are you doing? Why are you kidding yourself? You can't do this. You're not smart enough. You're too old to start that now. What are you, crazy? People gonna think you are crazy if you do that now. Never worry about what others think. Believe that. Replace all those irrational beliefs by saying to yourself, I'm a value. I have value as a human being. I have value as a person. I have value as a father, mother, brother, sister, uncle. You get the picture, right? Say to yourself, I am loved. I am free. I am authentically me. People recognize and appreciate me. You have to start changing your beliefs. Your irrational beliefs must be rational. Because we can do anything that we put our minds to within reason. I mean, it's not like I could jump off a building and know I'm a fly and keep flying. I'm not talking about, that's irrational. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about something that if you study, it's too late to study. It's too late to go to school. It's never too late. You can start anything. It's never too late. So I wanted to really talk about that today, and I hope that it'll make you think in your own life what irrational beliefs you might have and finding a solution. All right. And I want you to find how you can make those changes within your own life. Take time. Think about your own situation. Find how you can take your irrational thoughts and beliefs and turn them into power. Then ask yourself, why do I believe this way? But what's even powerful, if you have an irrational belief, when did this irrational belief start? Why do I feel this way? And then you want to sit down, and after you answer all those questions, you want to say, how can I change from feeling like this? Question your beliefs. Are they true? Why are they true? Why do I believe it? Those are the things that you must ask yourself to get to the root cause, to get to the core of that one belief. Irrational beliefs. We all experience irrational beliefs at one point in our lives. Think about it from a psychology point of view behind those beliefs and look at it at the core of what is the reason you believe this. Being part of authentically you have to know you at your core. And you also have to do this. You have to remember, you are an amazing person. There is so much beauty and value in you as a person with so much to offer the world. You know what? The Lord sees not the man. He doesn't see as the man. He looks inward to our hearts. And one of my favorite scriptures is this. Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think on these things. And that was in Philippians 4:8. So you can look at your limiting beliefs. You can look at your irrational beliefs and find out the core reason that you believe this stuff and then change it. So we have to take all of our shortcomings, all of our irrational beliefs, and eradicate them one by one. Believe beyond a shadow of a doubt that they're not valid. They're just that, irrational thoughts. Replace them with all rationale. My name is Dave. You're listening to the last podcast where the first shall be last and the last shall be first. I hope that what we talked about today will invoke you to thought, where it allows you to say, what irrational thoughts or beliefs am I holding? Because sometimes those beliefs, we may not even know they're there. And the only way we'll know is by asking questions, by asking the right questions. That's why questions are so powerful. Again, my name is Dave. You're listening to the last podcast. Hey, do me a favor, like, subscribe, and share this with family, friends, colleagues, and coworkers. I really appreciate you. And don't forget to come back on Friday. I'll have a brand new poem for Poetry Friday. This is Dave. I'm out. Thank you so much. Be blessed.